Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use dual head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. Well, viewers, in the midst of much wind noise, we have yet another unexpected episode of No Budget Reviews. This is the Army Flying Museum at Middle Wallop in Hampshire, sort of near Andover, and this is the 2022 Fuel Power Party. And I've been given the chance to drive this 1993 Nissan 100NX. Now, before all of you kind of say, doesn't Amber from the Fuel Power, from Driven 27 have one of these? Yes, she does. It's over there. So we might have a look at that in a second, because there are some differences between this one and that one. But this belongs to Stuart, who has just bought it, and he's had many Nissans and Datsuns on the channel before. I think we're approaching sort of 6 or 7 that he's had, and we've done videos on all of them so far. But he's just got this. He's replaced an NCMX5 with this, and it's absolutely perfect. It's an early car, it's a carb engine. Nissan was one of the few manufacturers in this country who decided that after the Euro 1 emissions regulations came in January 1993, that they could still fit carburetors to their engines and still pass the emissions with the CAT. And there we go, some bikes are leaving. So this car's still got a CAT. Later ones did have fuel injection. Amber's one has fuel injection. That's one of the main differences between these two cars. But this one has a CAT. It had a modified exhaust fitted, so it'll have a little bit more than the standard 95 horsepower that these came with. But otherwise, they're sort of similar. They've both got different alloy wheels on them. Stuart did buy the original alloy wheels with the car. These are aftermarket ones, but actually they look quite good on this car. Rather like the Demon Tweaks ones that Amber has on hers, or rather they were bought from Demon Tweaks. I think they're a different brand. But getting inside, it is a very similar car to the N14 or Y10 Nissan Sunnies. There were two types of Sunny at this time that were sold in this country, sold as a Pulsar in other markets, and indeed the 100NX actually was sold under a huge variety of different names all over the world. But in this country it was known as 100NX. We've got the T-bar roof. All UK models had this sort of T-bar roof. We'll go and have a look at Amber's one in a second, and that will also show what the car looks like without the roof panels attached, so I don't need to do it on this car. Very strange immobiliser on this, really bizarre. You put that little key in there like that. It's bizarre, but there we go. So immaculate condition inside here. The earlier cars had this this steering wheel. Later cars like Amber's have a different one. Again, we'll have a look at that. But original stereo, and the dash is straight out of an N14 high-spec Sunny, like the SLX would have had this dash. The Y10, which is the estate that Stuart also owns, we might have seen that on Sensible Second-Hand Classics towards the end of last year, has a slightly different dash, but it has no rev counter. This has a rev counter because it's a sporty car. No air conditioning, but you will see where a button for air conditioning might have been had they fitted it. Ashtray is just down there. Absolutely just idiot proof. Really simple. Sorry, ashtray here. That's for, I don't know what that's for. I actually have no idea. Maybe for cassettes or something. Shame it's not like a P10 from Mare, in which case you get amazing cassette storage solutions. The indicators and the wipers are the correct way around for most people. Obviously, if you are a very sort of hardcore JDM person, then you want them the other way around, but that's not the way that it is. Very nice kind of material here of a sort of headlining and things. So actually you can lock those panels in place to make sure someone doesn't steal them, which is nice. Driving position is actually very good. It's a very sporty driving position. You're very low down in the car, but I do have actually a fair bit of headroom, even with the panels in place, which is good. Auto button here for the driver's window. Again, same sort of fabric. The later cars have a different fabric in them. There is a little thing there, that's probably the fuse box, and that's the bonnet release just down there. Again, like on a P10 Primera, you can pull for the boot and push for the fuel flap. 5-speed manual in this one, Amber's is actually an auto, so it's a very good sort of comparison between the two sort of earlier and later cars. I'm afraid I forgot my secret mission documents today, viewers. They're in the car and I can't bother to go and get them, so maybe I'll have a cutaway shot of me putting those in a bit later on or something. But yeah, original Nissan folder in there. Typical kind of early 90s Nissan. Everything feels really, really well put together, and it's just a much more modern design than they would have had in the cars from the 1980s. Right, I'm going to have to try to get them the back, aren't I? I don't really want to, but I think you're going to make me anyway if I don't. Okay, viewers, we can slide this forward. Let's try to get in. I can't promise. Oh no! Oh, that's my Roger Moore from View to a Kill old man noises. Ow! I just cracked my head on the roof. Yeah, I don't think we're going anywhere, viewers, like this. Ow! 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 I've still got a lump on the back of my head, like the one I used to have on my forehead, and it hurts. Yes, anyway, let's just put my head down for a bit. Right. Storage this side, ashtray down there. You can fold these rear seats. There's only, I think, space for 2 people in there, which is just as well, really, because they've got to be 2 very short people, because there is no headroom, really, at all. Fortunately, we've got 3-point rear belts in here, but I think I've had enough. Now, I'm not going to get out. Oh, gosh. Oh, dear. Oh, Roger Moore. Oh. I did not enjoy that at all, but then I wasn't expecting to. Okay, let's pull the boot release. Let's have a look in here. So we have actually got the bags here to put the Targa roof panels in to sort of protect them. Again, we've had a bit of plastic well going on here, I presume, because you try finding a parcel shelf for a Nissan 100NX, it's not very easy. So if we just move the things out of the way, ooh, a little cam there for later on. Ooh, there is the design of the alloy wheels that originally have been on the car. Which is quite nice, but I also think that the wheels on this car do suit it. There's the non-standard exhaust again, just totally perfect condition, absolutely amazing. Quite a high lip for loading stuff in, but for a sports car, it's actually not too bad. It depends how much space these panels take in. I imagine you could just store the panels behind you or something like that. If you didn't want to put them in the boot, to give you a bit more space. I think that's what I'd do, because there's no way somebody's getting in there if they're a sort of normal height. It's just not really possible. See how easy it is to close the boot. Oh, it's not too bad. There we go. That's very nice. Right, let's take a look at the good old GA16 engine. So here we have a carb on top of there. Although of course it has also got a cat. Very unusual situation. GA16 engine, chain driven, very, very reliable engine. They very popular with the banger racing community, particularly the P10 Primeras that used to be popular back in the day. Obviously there aren't very many of those left. I have driven 2 P10 Primeras, one auto, one manual, and one of them had this engine, and it is fantastic, this engine. It's absolutely brilliant. Even on this one, the car's done about 35,000 miles, and so it's just perfect. There's nothing on here, there's no rust. It's just absolutely and utterly amazing. The axis isn't as bad as I thought it would be, actually. I mean, the gearbox, you can see, very, very accessible just there, and there's space here. Now, there were other engines available for the car on the markets, particularly a 2 litre, I think it was the SR20, but this is the only engine we got over here. Later fuel injection versions have about 102 horsepower. This is 95. And there we go, the grey stripe there designating we are a car model. The later ones are colour coded. Right, well, let's go and have a look at the other car, shall we, just to see what the differences are. So Amber's very kindly left the car open today so we can see. This is what one looks like with the roof panels off. Straight away, it's different seat fabric. Down there as well, it is an auto rather than a manual, and that's a different steering wheel in there. I think if we go round to the driver's side as well, you can see these have got the wheels on there. They're from Demon Twigs, but they're called rotor wheels. I think she's got the original ones as well somewhere. You can see even that rev counter is just very slightly different. I don't know why. I also don't know why when no 100NX actually has an airbag, but they bothered to change the steering wheel, but for some reason I don't really understand. But there we go. Otherwise the cars look very similar. I mean, there's no particular reason to update a design. If it works, it works. And you can see again the sort of middle panel of plastic is colour coded on this car. It's not actually just separately grey. So this is a fuel injected model. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. Well, viewers, it feels wonderful to be behind the wheel of one of these. I've been waiting for the chance to actually drive one of these for quite some time actually, so it's marvellous, particularly one like this that's immaculate and done 35,000 miles. Obviously, if you're thinking about you can pick one of these up in this condition for £1,000, then I'm really sorry, but you absolutely can't. You can pick one up for less than £1,000, as Amber herself did. That car's had a lot of work done to it, but she paid, I think, under £500 for it in the state that it was in without an MOT. So I think you can pick them up for under £1,000 with an MOT. The biggest thing to watch on these is rust. And I think you know, Amber's had a go at dealing with some of the issues on that one. This one though, no rust, no problems like that. Drives, unsurprisingly, in a really similar way to an N14 or Y10 Sunny. And I think this colour is actually exactly the same as Stewart's Y10 Sunny of Traveller or Estate, they called those. And I'll put a link to that in the description below. Ride is a little bit firmer. You'd expect that with a sports car. Different suspension. I think the steering rack's different as well. The steering apparently is even quicker in this. But it feels absolutely fantastic. It's just right. Driving position's just right, really, from someone of my side anyway. Steering is very good in feel. Brakes, no ABS in this or anything like that, I don't think, but brakes seem pretty good. Gearbox is very nice. 5-speed manual. Yeah, and the ride's not too bad. And the GA16 engine is an absolute delight. This is a fantastic engine. Don't need to worry about changing the cam box to chain. I think they do sometimes blow head gaskets, but if you're racing or something like that, if you're driving normally, I don't think that's a very common problem. When this car was introduced in 1991, the importer at the time, I think there was something to do with ALD, or I could be wrong about that, but I think there was some link in that way. they were in a dispute with the main Nissan company over profit margins, and so they deliberately tried to shrink market share by making the car much more expensive than it should have been. This car, when it was launched, was over £1,000 more than a 2-litre Honda Prelude, and about the same price as a 2-litre Toyota MR2. So it really just didn't sell as well as expected. By 1992, Nissan had set up their own distributor, which was actually run by them themselves, so it was much better priced after that, and they did change things. But one thing they didn't change was the engine until very soon after this car was registered in February 1993. I have said it's 95 horsepower, but other sources say 90. And I've also said that this T-Bar was sound in this country. Apparently it wasn't. I just checked it. That wasn't an option, but this car does have it. Apart from that, yeah, the fuel injection version of the engine came in, and that developed 102 horsepower. A lot of the markets had a 2-litre engine, but there was also in Japan a 1.5 and a 1.8 available as well, and the 2-litre was the good old SR20. So you could get a lot more power. The chassis, certainly this feels like it could handle a considerable amount more power than 90 or 95 horsepower. Superb to drive, just really, really nice. I'd love to compare this to something like a Honda CRX, which was of the same sort of time, and I have driven a Toyota Paseo, ironically at another event I wasn't intending to film at, and that's also really good, but it doesn't drive like this, that Paseo. It's a nice car, but it's far more comfort orientated than this. This is far more sort of sporty, and I absolutely love this. I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I didn't realise how much I was going to enjoy it. I enjoyed a Paseo, but I'm afraid I prefer this. I really prefer this. And if this is the lower powered model, goodness knows what it's like if it in the fuel injected one. I just love the sound, the power delivery of the GA16 engine. This has got that modified exhaust, and so it just breathes a little bit better, sounds a little bit better. And yes, if you're considering buying one, then my advice is if you can find a good one of these, then you're going to enjoy yourself tremendously. It's an absolute hoot to drive this, and I'm very grateful to Stuart for letting me have a go in this beautiful example that's worth many, many times a no budget reviews budget. So viewers, the Nissan 100 NX, or you know, I think they just call it the NX in many other places, because the NX was accompanied by like 1600 NX, 2000 NX, depending on where you were in the world. Is this a car that you should consider with your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? Well, quite possibly, if you can find a good one of these that doesn't leak in the roof and is not rusty, and you know, the engine's in good condition, then why not? I very much enjoyed this. I thought I knew I was going to, but I think I enjoyed it even more than I expected, which is good. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. Thank you again to Stuart for letting me have a go in his car. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more cost-effective motoring.